Hey, this is Griffin from Strictly Paintball, Red Dot Paintball, and Alien Paintball. Finally have a good program that I hope will record audio and video so I can show you guys how to tune your Alien Independence. I've been shooting this gun for about a year and a half now. I've had no problems with it. I've had to do a little bit of tuning because of some issues that I ran into early on because the guy that I bought the gun from put the wrong O-rings on the cup seal and the rammer. But the gun shot fine for the most part until I discovered that it was the wrong O-rings. So I don't know why it shot the way it did, but it shot fine with the wrong parts. So I guess this thing is just a tank. Down to the good stuff. There are two ways that I have found to tune these guns. One of them is a little bit more tedious than the other. However, it's a lot more effective, especially if this is your first time doing it. So if this is your first time tuning your gun, you bought it used from somebody, or if you bought your gun from anybody other than Jack Rice, I recommend tuning your gun the long way unless it shoots fine. If it shoots fine, don't touch with it. This specifically is not a gun that you need to fix until it's broken. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Independence very, very, very resilient to weathers, different temperatures, moisture settings, damage, things like that. I respect my Independence, but I abuse it at the same time. I've taken more core samples with this gun and played more aggressively than with any other gun that I've owned. Living in the desert, playing a lot of wind, we have a lot of rain out there, lots of dust gets thrown around into this gun. I have not had to change O-rings or lube anything or readjust anything since I got it set the first time, and I have absolutely thrashed this marker. Solid as a rock. Not had any problems with it, but just in case you've got some tuning to do on yours, and I guess I have a bunch of people that have been calling me and texting me and putting on my walls, and make a video how to do it, Well, A, read the manual, it's very clear how to do it in there, but B, I guess I can show you how to do it. So, first thing, long way, let's just get this out of the way. First thing you need to do, get a new battery. Don't buy a Duracell or Energizer or any of that. I don't care if it works for the armed forces or if the Coast Guard uses it for flashlights. Get one of the paintball batteries that put out 9.6 volts. You want to make sure that you have all of the energy that you're going to need to charge a solenoid in your board. Paintball guns are very specific about how much energy they require. As soon as you dip below that 9 volt level, you will notice decreases in performance. So make sure you've got a brand new 9.6 volt, straight out of the box, straight out of the store. Go spend the $5 and do it. Fill your air tank. Make sure you've got a nice healthy flow out of your reg. Don't be running a low pressure reg or an SLP on while you're doing your testing. If it works fine afterwards, that's fine. But do your testing, making sure that you're not starving your marker. You want to get it set up right the first time so you don't have to mess with it again in the future. Also, good paint. I made the mistake of tuning my gun the first time with Draxxis Basic and other, rubbishy kind of things like that. Tuned it up, got it shooting well, and then I started shooting some really good paint through it, and I realized that I was actually off by a good amount. The difference in paint quality and the barrel that you're using will affect you down the road. So make sure you've got a nice tight bore on it. For use, for normal, everyday play, make sure you overbore a little bit to use the sweet bolt as effectively as possible. But while you're tuning your marker, consistency is the one thing that you're going for, so make sure that you give that every little bit of extra consistency that you can squeeze out of your paint. So go buy some good paint, maybe even a couple bags depending on how you want to do it. Fill up your tanks, we're ready to go. So first thing, other than new battery, turn your dwell up. I've got mine sitting at 11.5, which I believe is half a millisecond over the factory settings for the gun. I'm willing to bet money that the factory settings for your gun are exactly where you want them. Jack Rice does a very, 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 very good job of tuning his guns before he lets them leave the factory. So if you bought your gun from him and you're like, oh, well, what if I kind of want to, lower my dwell? If you're used to bob long guns or if you change the rammer, you can adjust that. Don't worry about it. Independence, anything made by Alien, is not a gun that you're going to want to tinker with electronically. It should be working fine out of the box. Won't have problems with it, but like I said, you're watching this for a reason, so I'm going to show you how to do it the right way. Turn your dwell up 2 or 3 full milliseconds. The Tadao board that I have goes up by half millisecond increments, so if I ever wanted to tune mine, I would turn it up to 13.5 milliseconds. Again, as Jack has said in the past, the dwell is not the amount of time that the solenoid valve is open. The dwell is the amount of time that electricity is applied to the solenoid. There is a little bit of a difference there. Do not confuse those two measurements. It'll throw you off later down the road if you're using something else. Anyways, so turn the dwell up. Chronograph your gun to 300 feet per second. 5 or 10 shots, take a couple good clearing shots. Allen wrench in the front. Turn it up 1/4 turn. If your velocity increases, it means that your LPR was too low to begin with. Increase your velocity until it no longer rises up. So let's say I've got it at 300. I turn it up, goes to 305. Turn it up again, shooting at 315. Turn it up again, shooting at 314, 315. Go back down to where it capped out, so at that 315 mark, and then turn your, retune your inline reg so that that is at 300 point. And then do it again. Go up another 1/4 turn, see if it changes anything. By then, you shouldn't have any increase because your LPR should be set. Go back down and find the point, the exact point where it starts to increase. Any higher than that, you're going to give yourself unnecessary kick and barrel lift. I go about 1/8 of a turn after that just because the gun shoots smooth enough as is. I like to have just a little bit extra just to make sure that I'm not starving my regs. I play a lot. I shoot a lot of paint. The format that I play is uncapped semi-auto. So when I do my tuning, I put this into uncapped NXL mode. After you get this set to where there's no, no drop off, nothing like that, I put my gun into full auto, drop a hopper on it, run it through, make sure that there's no drop off. If you're shooting, even maybe half a pod, make sure there's no chops, no skips. Your valves are getting all the power that they need. Make sure everything is, up to snuff on that. After that, you're done with the LPR. So, like I said, retune back to 300 feet per second. Now go back into your board settings, adjust your dwell, and lower it. Lower your dwell 1 millisecond at a time. And again, you're looking to do pretty much the exact same thing that you were doing with your LPR. You're lowering it until you get to the point where you start to see drop off. So, 13 shoots fine, 12.5 shoots fine, blah, 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 all the way down to like 11. Let's say you get to 10.5. And you start shooting, like 25, 30 rounds down the field, and then you start seeing a little bit of drop off when you get the high rate of fire. So bump it back up that half millisecond. That's right where you want it, at that line. You don't want any more, you don't want any less. I mean, you definitely don't want any less than necessary, so I go a little bit more. My gun shoots just fine at 11 milliseconds. But I run mine at 11.5 just because that's how I like to, I mean, if your gun shoots at 10.5 and you like it at 10.5, run at 10.5. But don't say, oh, my gun likes it at 10.5, so I'm going to put it at 10, and I'm going to try to tune the valves to get over that. No. The dwell was added to boards as more of a marketing gimmick than as a way that you really need to adjust it. Some of the Bob Long guns, there are a lot of different things that you can do to lower your dwell, different rammers they've put out over the years, different parts, especially with the 2K2s. 2K2s, 2K5 Intimidators have a lot of things you can do to lower your dwell, which does affect your efficiency. But going from, let's say I wanted to shoot my gun at 11, at a dwell of 11, since I'm running it at 11.5, the difference is probably 30 shots per fill, whatever. I'd rather have the peace of mind that I've got, as much as I need. So make sure you get those all balanced out, turn your LPR up until it doesn't go any higher, turn it back down, find the sweet spot, get your dwell where it's at, set it, double check your inline reg, and you're done. You won't have to do this for as long as you own your marker. Knowing the independence, seal rammer, you're not going to need to change that O-ring, lube it, so once it's set, it's set. I've talked to Jack a few times. There are some different ways to lube the bolt. A little bit of tri-flow goes a very, very, very long way. This is what tri-flow looks like. You get it at bike shops, it's for bike gears, it smells like bananas. So, if you really, really, really want to get that extra tiny little bit of performance out of your gun, put some tri-flow in a rag, wipe it on there, shove it in, but you're going to need to make sure that you clean that every single day, because as soon as you start adding oil and different lubricants and liquids to the bolt, it will attract dust and it will start to pick up little bits of rubber from the O-rings as it makes pre-tour, stuff like that. So if you do want to go that route, make sure that you are cleaning the bolt more often, make sure you clean your breech. The Independence is an extremely low maintenance marker, so I don't see any benefits to actually running it with tri-flow. You may be able to lower your LPR by 3 to 5 pounds. Not really that big of a deal. The gun shoots just as well as is, so I'd leave it alone. So if you've already done that and you had some leak and you had to tear it apart and you just want to do the quick and dirty, if you already know what your dwell is set at, factory settings, leave it where it's at, tune to 300, tune your LPR all the way down. Shove your tank in, turn the air on, start turning your LPR up while you're dry firing until you can tell that it's starting to get up to speed. If you do this a few times, you will be able to start getting a feel for the marker. I can tune my gun blind. I'm not going to because it's expensive. Going through paint and air and yada yada yada. Anyways, go until you can feel or hear that it's shooting about right. Then put paint on. This is when NXL becomes important. I keep my Allen wrench in my gun, shooting over a chronograph, get a nice 25 BPS rate of fire going, turn the gun up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up until you hear it cap off over the chrono, and then just fine tune it from there. Find you like it, leave it alone, you're done. You know, I've done that once and it tuned out just the same as when I did it the dirty way. Takes a lot less paint, a lot less time, but that's for the people who are positive that their gun is in perfect condition. You bought it from Jack Rice or Alien, or, you know, Red Dot or Zephyr or ANS or whoever you got the gun from. You got your gun from the factory. That's how I would tune it. If you got your gun used and you've got some questions about it, either send it to Jack and he'll tune it. I've tuned indies and invasions for the last couple years now. No matter what I do, I can't get mine running as smooth as the one time I sent my gun back to Jack. I made the mistake of messing with it after that, and I can't get it back there. Probably the best $15 you can spend is shipping your gun back to Jack, paying for him to return the shipping. He does a phenomenal job with his equipment. He knows these guns inside and out. Feel free to call him up anytime. Very, very helpful, very, very willing to help. Ask any question. He's a plethora of information. I like to tap all resources available. I bug him all the time, and I'm sure he gets a little frustrated. Jack, love you. Anyways, yeah, so that's the long way to do it and the quick and dirty way. If you guys have any more questions, any comments, if you guys want me to do a full video actually showing the tuning of the gun, I can do that, but keep in mind, I've got a PayPal account. You can send me money to buy paint for me to tune my gun. My gun is shot perfectly for the last year. I don't plan on tuning this anytime soon. It's the end of the season. I may do it, but, you know, I shoot really good paint when I tune my gun, so it cost me $20 to tune this thing. If you want to see it, you're going to pay for it. Other than that, it should be pretty straightforward. And again, I revisit the idea, read the manual. He's got pictures in there, very good descriptions. He explains why you're doing what you're, why you're doing what you're doing to your gun as you do it. Jack has already posted several videos about how to tune these guns. So, just do a little bit of digging out there. Anyways, here's my take on it. I tried to make it as clean as possible, but, it's there. There it is. That's how you tune your Indy. The Invasion works pretty much the same way. One more dirty little trick that Jack taught me. When you have your gun aired up, the way to test your LPR is the thumb and pinky method. You should be able to easily push the bolt in with your thumb. It should be difficult, or a little more difficult, to push it in with your pinky when it's aired up. That's going to be how you feel to balance your LPR. That's relatively effective, works well for me. My LPR is a little bit lighter than some others, just because, I've been shooting my gun for years. I abuse this thing. Very well broken in. I got a new reg on here. I was having some issues with the stock ones, so I threw on a Sidewinder. Very, very, very high airflow, but these regs are very high maintenance, so, kind of be careful what you're doing there. Anyways, that's it. I'm done. Peace.